Welcome to the Mindfulness Experience podcast. My name is Keith Fiveson. On this episode of the Microdose Wonderland interviews, we speak with Shauheen Etminan and Jonathan Lu, and they are both co-founders at VCENNA, a biotech, brain tech, and mental wellness company. They specifically have this product that I was very intrigued with called Magi, which is food for the gods, for the good mind, and they talk about it from the viewpoint it's based on ancient Iranian psychoactive elixir of truth, Hayoma. It's an interesting product, interesting people. I hope you enjoy the interview. I certainly enjoyed them. Listen in to our interview. It's a little noisy, but hang in there. Lots of good stuff to say. It is Keith Fiveson here at the Microdose Wonderland Conference, and I am sitting with Dr. Shauheen Etminan. Did I get that right? Etminan. Thank you so much. And John Lu, who just did a conference here, presentation, which really intrigued me about their company VCENNA, which is involved with well, tell me exactly what you're involved with. What's the product? Because the product really is to go ahead and you were involved with the Psychedelics and Religion conference. How does the product relate to religion, and how does it relate to Taoism and Zoroastrianism?
Yeah, this is where it relates is what humans since the dawn of time have always been seeking, which is our own personal insight and meaning for why are we here and what do we understand about ourselves. And whether you're talking about science, religion, medicine, you're talking about the early religious tribes of the Amazonians, like Albia was discussing on stage, or the Taoists of China from 2,000 years ago, or the Zoroastrians of Iran. These plants, these compounds have never cared what label we put on them, whether it's science or religion or medicine. These have all just been used in the purpose of our own greater enlightenment and healing.
So that was the thing that really kind of got me, was the kind of, you started to talk about Taoism and the interrelationship of indigenous wisdom, and really, you know, like can we be okay without plants, or how do plants really help us to change our consciousness and connect us with? Is it the spirit molecule? What is it that really helps us to make those connections?
Yeah, well, scientifically, we have an understanding now of what it actually is doing within our brain, which is only probably 1% of what's actually happening, just what we can quantify now. But what it's really helping us to do is understand ourselves. Perhaps that's a result of the claustral network in the brain activating in a higher frequency gamma wavelength, or perhaps it's a result of the pineal gland that's secreting something more endogenous, such as a beta-carboline or something that becomes more like a DMT endogenously. I mean, chemically, we're only starting to understand what's actually happening. The thing that has been common throughout history is that every tribe, every culture, every religion has used these plants in the pursuit of their own insight, in the pursuit of their own communal strengthening, and their own pursuit of understanding of meaning.
So I'm very interested. One of the things you started to talk about, and you know, in the Mindfulness Experience, one of the things that we're focused on is the confluence of mindfulness or meditation with psychedelics, with understanding artificial intelligence, or understanding virtual realities, and really what it does for us. You talked about meditation as one particular area of the kind of, you know, gateway, if you will. Do you believe that there's some interconnection with all this? Because you had mentioned something about meditation and using the product, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the ritual that was followed by I'll let Shauheen talk a little bit about the Zoroastrians, but certainly by the Taoists of an inner journey, oftentimes an inner journey done together in a group meditation setting, where the plants, whether they're either imbibed or whether they were burned as insights, for what we now know of the absorption of different neurotransmitters, they were used at this purpose of helping meditation as the ritual that was specifically followed by the Taoists of early Chinese practices.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. not different at all from the rituals that were followed by other shamanic traditions of the Amazonians or from the Siberian traditions, in which they imbibe perhaps different plants, but also for the same purpose here of a group session or a group journey of a deeper understanding of personal insight.
So if we take a look at really understanding religion and all of its context and the sacrament of religion, in most cases, it's all within a church, a group setting where individuals, sit down, meditate. They go ahead and have the sacrament. They go ahead and then, commune with the immortal, commune with whatever that ineffable, quality of state of mind is or state of the world is. Tell me a little bit more about, this perspective. You mentioned Zoroastrianism, and I'd really like to understand from that viewpoint. Maybe you had mentioned Shauheen, doctor. What do you think?
Yeah, it's so specifically about Zoroastrianism. First of all, I guess in that context, like none of these are religion. Like they were not the religions at the time, right? Like these teachings found followers later on, and they became religion. But it was a philosophy, which the philosophy was basically how to tap into a sublime state of mind, how to have access to divine, through practice. And with that, meditation was actually what Zarathustra or Zoroaster, who was the founder of Zoroastrianism, just preached about. Like that, you get this insight, you get by just sitting still and then basically just traveling and journeying within yourself. And interestingly, on the phenomenological side, this is called, there's a definition for this, it's called a reduction. A reduction is leap through the planes of consciousness in a way that, like, by sitting still, you may give yourself this chance that you just leap through consciousness in a way that you get into more like your divine self, and then like through connection to your higher self, you know how to live in this life in a better way.
So, like, one of the things that we talk about, and I truly believe, is there's the microcosm and the macrocosm. So an understanding, and certainly from a Taoist viewpoint, there's this understanding of the interconnection, the wu-wei, the feng shui, the yin yang of understanding our inner self and our outer self, right? It's really that interconnection. So I truly believe that in our society, many of us have really gotten to the point where we're living life from the outside in, not from the inside out. And the outside in is not necessarily the true outside in. It's really not an interconnection with the stars or the cosmos or the Milky Way galaxy where, we're getting all of our energy from, right? I mean, just that's where plant energy comes from the sun, from the galaxy, from the stars. So from the Zoroastrian or from the Taoist viewpoint, do you believe that the plant medicines or the rituals allow individuals to do that? And if so, Doctor, I'm just trying to understand, what is the biology or the physiology that might get us there? And does mindfulness or meditation or prayer from a religious viewpoint get us even further? Because we see this medicalization, and I'm not sure it's enough. I think that the real problem is a hole in the soul. So let me just stop there. I threw out a lot to unpack, and let me just hear maybe from the both of you.
Maybe I'll start with the first half and let Shauheen cover more the scientific, the medical portion of what's actually happening within their own physiology. But I would actually even go a step shallower versus the whole macro connection that we have. Like, even from a connection of just human to human, we're starting to lose more and more of that as time goes on. And I think that's a natural progression of humanity. Do these plants help you to enable this deeper connection? The answer is absolutely yes. Are they necessary for everybody? The answer is no. And this is something that the Taoists had practiced over time, is a version of inner alchemy as well as external alchemy. And biologically, some of us are born differently. We may just endogenously produce more of these types of compounds within our own central nervous system that some people may not need to have external alchemy to reach this deeper level of transcendence. But all of us have this different ability within us. The plants are not necessary for everybody. They're certainly facilitators and enablers that will help and they will help us chemically to be able to reach what the Taoists would term as transcendence as the ultimate goal.
Right. So this inner alchemy, a lot of people are kind of going woo woo, like, what does that mean? Inner alchemy, and we can talk about it in terms of, projection or, delusion or whatever, but what is all this inner alchemy? What does it mean from the viewpoint of our brains or our synapses or our ability to interconnect with areas of our brain or unconscious, because we do know that we only use 5% of our conscious mind, 95% is unconscious, and there's a synaptic interconnect or lack of connection. So maybe you can, Shauheen, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question because I'm a scientist, and the woo-woo part, you always try to stay away from that.
Right.
What is the real definition of the inner alchemy? And specifically in this Zoroastrian context, and the experience of having or tapping into collective unconscious. So in that context, it was basically having the experience of death before dying. So this is very powerful because then it opens up, another world to you. Which
whoa. Death before dying?
Before dying,
oh,
yes.
Okay,
yeah,
so you got to unpack that.
Yeah, so basically, this is exactly what Brian Maresco is talking about in his book, how to die before you die, or some of the mystics in Iran, like Rumi or Hafez, has just written poetries a lot on how to die before you die. So die before you die, so there's so many people that they think that relates to your ego, just like the ego death and how you experience just the selflessness, but we go even beyond that. It's literally die before you die, which means that to see into the other world, to see into the realm of after death while you're still awake. So that allows you to have basically the epiphany, a better understanding of what is happening, outside your own consciousness. And with this specific compounds that Zoroastrian were using, so what happens is that under these beta carbolines, you have access to collective unconscious. So from the collective unconscious, you see into realities that you usually have access to in a dreamy state or through your dreams. And these compounds, they put you in a dream-like state or a dreamy state. And it's very interestingly, there are definitions, there are words that we actually have used in Magi as well, like a start, or they have another word which they are all referring to this physiological and psychological state, which is a state between dream and awakeness, or the better way is just to dream while you're awake. So lucid dreaming. So basically the more advanced is where some of the Zoroastrian priests, out otherworldly journeys was that they all refer to how they saw the realm of after death, and that is the powerful message that allows you to define yourself in a macrocosm.
Oh wow! Well, you're speaking my language, because one of the things that I'm looking at now is the art of dying, and how do we die while we're how do we die to our definition of who we are, and really open up to a broader definition of it's not the me or the we, but it's really about the us, right? Or maybe it's all simultaneous, and having that opening or that awakening. Most people aren't there. They're kind of saying, well, listen, I don't want to die. I just want to hold on to who I am and live the best life possible. So we're really talking about dying, or we're talking about an aspect of not fearing death, so living life more fully.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's just again, to the wholeness, the definition of wholeness, these are all same, right? But there's one important caveat here, one part of shamanism, which is one of the elements of that define shamanism, is having a double soul. Double soul is basically just your higher consciousness, which is a copy of you in the realm of divine. So all the shamanism, they have had it in Mesoamerica as well as Zoroastrianism.
Uh-huh.
So this is exactly where you were defining from inside out or from outside in, the way that you define yourself. So when you have a reference, a datum to kind of move toward, which is your higher self. Like in Zoroastrian defined as Faravashi, which is like basically it's your double soul, which is another person
your
in the divine.
Self.
Yeah, aspirational self. Yeah. So then you have a direction, right? Like then you know, just put it outside the medicalization world, like you have a direction to go, which is your light. Like your person, like in another realm, which is a realm of light.
And isn't that really what spirituality or religion should be doing?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why it originally began. I think it's become perverted over time as our societies have advanced, and it's very hard to have a very common message like that when you're at the population that we are today. But it was always about a group community of us all just better understanding ourselves, of developing our own meaning for ourselves, whatever that meaning may be.
And maybe our own sense of agency. And I would wonder from a religious context, whether or not from a Judeo-Christian or from a Roman Catholic viewpoint of having, moved from Zoroastrianism to Gnosticism to, Christianity, Roman Catholic Catholicism with the Nicene Creed back in, 325 AD, the formation of religion, whether or not they really took that out of the hands of the pagans, right? The shamans, who were otherwise known as pagans. And I'd like your view of that in terms of where we are now. Do you think we're going through this some people call it a third wave, some people call it a 5D, level where the vibration is higher and the consciousness is being raised, and we can get into some of that. But here we are. There are 5,000 people supposed to be at this conference. 5,000 people at a psychedelic conference. We've got the medical industry here. We've got researchers here. We've got John Hopkins here. We've got a whole bunch of. This is not woo-woo. This is science that is really validating ancient wisdom. So I'm just wondering your perspective about that, because your company, you've got this product. I love the name of the Magi. What is the product?
Yeah, Ancestral Magi is a line of supplements, nutritional supplements. These are different from a pharmaceutical drug that are non-scheduled, unclassified by the DEA, and legal for use. And these are the same compounds that were used, or very similar compounds that were used from the same plant derivatives for this meditative purpose within the past.
And Ancestral Magi, for those people that don't know, the Magi were Zoroastrians.
The Magi were Zoroastrians.
And the Zoroastrians were supposed to have identified where the new Christ would be born. So where did they get that knowledge from, and why did they use Zoroastrianism as the focal point to go ahead and basically propagate the story, right?
Yeah, it's. I think like what is very specific about Zarathustra's philosophy was he, like before him during the paganism, there were like multiple gods, right? So the distinction that he made was like there is one God, and that one God is pure consciousness. So this is exactly what we are tapping into like today, right? Like they're just talking about pure like consciousness and how to raise consciousness. Just that definition like 3,500 years ago, that's been very progressive at the time. And then based on that, the whole Zoroastrianism and Ahura Mazda, which is the definition of, we call it God. I mean, I learned it as God, but like today, that this was the pure consciousness that they were talking about. And then how you tap into or how do you dive into the consciousness, this is exactly, again, the practices like meditation, mindfulness, breath work, or, everything that is getting more customary, within the, like, again, more esoteric or underground, or maybe just like it's still growing, communities today.
So you're really tapping into, with the Ancestral Magi, you're really tapping into this ancient wisdom, and I really was struck by the use of meditation, the use of working with people, coming together, and your product line is sold over the counter, it's legal, doesn't have any psilocybin in it, specifically no Schedule 1 drugs or anything else like that.
No schedule 3, 7,
no schedules.
No.
It's totally legit. So how does the product, what's in the product? What is it about? And is it like a secret elixir? What is like and a lot of people would think that we're getting into the kind of age of the people, hawking their elixirs, right?
Yeah.
But we're not there. Can you talk to the product itself? Because I want people to really understand this is science. It's not just woo-woo.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I want to put that on pause and let Shauheen answer that question around some of the inspiration for what was a brew known as Homa, not dissimilar from Kikion used by the Aloysians. But back to the original part, question that you had asked about, this isn't just this woo-woo, unquantifiable area that's out there. Every scientific discovery has always begun with the three words, I don't know. And where does that scientific discovery come from? It comes from a thesis or a theory of something that might sound like magic. Like, was it Arthur C. Clarke that said that anything that's sufficiently technologically advanced at first appears like magic? So if I were to go back to Anton von Leeuwenhoek, who invented the microscope, and say that we have these little microorganisms that get you sick, you look like, oh, you're talking about the devil. Like, well, we just have a better way of quantifying and being able to view what is now bacteria or viruses. We could never do that before. So does the origination of what we might look at as spiritual wisdom, is that all woo-woo? I think it's the beginning of a question that we're just getting better and better at answering. And we are far from having all the answers today, but through neuroscience techniques, through quantification of what's happening within the brain when you're on a psychoactive substance, or even just when you're in a very spiritual or meditative state, that's helping us to just better understand the science behind what was traditionally, I don't know what it is, but I'm not going to dismiss it, I'm going to ask the question.
That's a good. I love that. So it's really being able to, not being able to see where we're going, but being able to go ahead and like not being like, it's the whole idea of the world is round versus the world is flat, right? The science is showing us that the world is round, or the science is now showing us that all of this ancient belief or wisdom, of plants and so on and so forth, is scientifically validated. And you were going to go ahead and mention the science specifically.
Yeah, so the Magi main compound is coming from a plant called the span, which has been a sacred plant in Iran for many years, for about 3,500 years. And the span is wild rue or Pegonum harmala. So wild rue or Pegonum harmala has a group of compounds called harmala compounds that are the same compounds that you find in Benistriopsis capi wine, which is basically one component of ayahuasca brew. So what these compounds do exactly is unlike tryptamines that allows you to have this flush of very high entropic thoughts, what they do is that they open your mind to collective unconscious. So you have information that you usually have access to through like a dream or sleep. That is why you get sick when you take ayahuasca. You always are in between this dream-like state where you're open, while at the same time under ayahuasca you have access to DMT, which allows you to process that information on a very high intensity. At the same time, your emotions are very stimulated too. So this is a full experience of ayahuasca and a subjective experience. So with Homa, which was the source of Iranian intoxication, it only had this group of beta carbolines, and based on the ancient texts, when you're looking into those referrals in terms of the subjective experience, they always talk about this dreamy state. So Zoroaster found his revelations in a dreamy state. And some Zoroastrians, they don't basically just, if you talk to Zoroastrians today, they are not associating their religion to any intoxication at all. But if you just put aside any any judgment about these drugs, and then look into the source, what happens that there are a group of receptors called imidazolin, which imidazolin receptors, they put you in a hypnotic state or dream-like state, which in this dream-like state you have these visions, very vivid hallucinogenic visions, at the same time information that is where that leap of consciousness happens.
But is this happening with the product, Ancestral Magi? I mean,
yeah,
so we're able to, so through the product and through the meditative process as well, we're able to go ahead and take this product and really start to have these visions or have these
altered states of reality?
With one thing here that I want Shauheen to continue.
I mean,
it's not
because we
just
have
the
to
product.
distinguish here, right?
Of course, but it's not just the product, and it's very similar to what we had discovered from the 50s and 60s around set and setting. Is the product is only one portion of it. The set and setting, which we might interpret today as the intention and the ritual, is also a very important part of this. And this is where you don't always need the product to reach the state here. For example, if you're in a deep REM level of sleep, you may not remember some of the insights that you've had, but if you can do it while you're waking, you're able to access much more of that.
Right. So when you go into meditation, one of the things we wind up doing is certainly setting the intention.
Yeah.
Right. You set the intention when you're sitting down. What is it? What's my intention? And then from the viewpoint of going through your intention, your mind, your body, your spirit, your fuel, the people that are in your relationships, your environment, all those things tend to come into focal point. And what I hear you saying is very much so when you're looking at using ancestral Magi, that you're really looking at, it's not just about taking it like popping a pill in the morning, it's really using it with a setting, intention, and what am I taking this for, right?
Yeah, so back to your question, so ancestral Magi is a formulation that we discovered out of lots of studies, from biomarker studies to physiological to neurological to psychological, and this is kind of like a mini dose of a full experience that allows you to, specifically for these use cases with meditation or lucid dreaming, it kind of allows you to get into a deeper state. It's like a little catalyst that gives you that 30 minutes of having no active thoughts, to be able to just listen and be present.
So it quiets the default mode network? Is that what you're saying? Is that the intention through the meditation process?
Yeah, that's a controversial scientific statement there. Is it the default node network? Is it the cortical colostrum? I mean, because to be honest with you, we don't know. But these are some of the theses that we're trying to understand better and better. And when I say we, I mean the collective we. Researchers at Johns Hopkins, researchers at UCSF. Why exactly are they occurring? I mean, all of this begins with the scientific inquiry of can I disprove it, not can I necessarily prove it. So I'd say we're getting better and better about our understanding of what exactly is happening psychologically, physiologically, but it's still just the tip of the iceberg for what we know.
So to be able to quiet whether or not it's whatever part, whatever it is in the brain, and then to be able to go ahead and sort of go into the underneath the iceberg of our consciousness into our unconscious mind, to be able to open up our receptors, to be able to really connect in with our oneness, is what this is from a microdose. I'll carefully use that term, but from the standpoint of the product, really looking at it in that view. And then I think from a philosophical viewpoint, you're bringing much more to the party here than just the product itself. So how do the collective we, or maybe I'll just direct it to you, how do you transmit or transmute that knowledge or that wisdom in terms of the training or the development? Because it sounds to me in some way that you're really like training Jedi Knights to go out there and really help individuals really understand the Force. Really connect in with their oneness, connect in with the power that they've gotten in themselves and the power that they can create in the world. And it's powerful. And I'm asking you this question because I want to sign up. How do I sign up? Where's my knapsack? Where's my marching orders? That kind of a thing.
I guess one important aspect of Magi is that it's not just a supplement, it's a way of living, literally. And the way of living is we just try to look into what the ancient, wisdom was. And in Zoroastrianism, it's very interesting. They have this concept called Vahumana, which Vahumana is the definition of the good mind. So we have designed the Magi for the good mind. And when you're talking with the psychedelic community, everybody is talking about this elevated, experience or this immense inner experience that you have, but there is no optimized definition for a state of mind that you want to tap into and you want to stay there. So the way that they define the good mind is based on how the good mind reflects in your life, which is the good deeds, good thoughts, and good words. And then whatever mind that allows you to basically, just be in that state of mind. This is what we're trying to tap into. So this is a supplement that allows you to get into a state, to connect with yourself better, to be able to kind of like inspire and have access to the good mind. So that is the idea.
I love this. It's to me it sounds like where can I? You have some on you? Like let's start right away. So from a pricing viewpoint, is this for everyone, or where are the price points, and how do people really kind of, what should they expect in terms of ongoing usage? I mean, I mentioned like a vitamin a day. I take a B12. I mean, do I take an ancestral Magi every day? Is there a ritual process? Is there something around this concept, this movement, in terms of your view?
Yeah, the ritual, I like that you use the word ritual. Ritual, habit, ceremony, I mean, these are all kind of synonyms for a similar concept for how do you actually create something that sticks. Right. I mean, like all this research has shown, you've got to do it for 8 weeks in a row before it actually becomes something that's a part of your habit. We are not creating a church, we're not creating a religious organization. This is not something that is exclusive. It's something that's very inclusive for anybody within their own practice, because transcendence, achievement of the good mind, that means something different for every individual person. And we don't want to dictate exactly what does that mean for you. But something that is important for you is if you want to form a greater habit around mindfulness, around gratitude, around appreciation, it is important that you cultivate that every day. So what we do recommend is if it's through either daily meditation first thing in the morning or last thing at night, meditate every day. Maybe every day you want to have a plant-induced or plant-supported assisted meditation. Maybe some days that you don't. Maybe every day you want to go through a deep level of lucid dream, and some nights they will not happen. But the important thing is that we have to continue to keep trying.
I love that. That's great. And from a pricing viewpoint, if I wanted to order my supply right now, what would it cost me?
Yeah, ancestralmagi.com. All of our products are up there. I think we have our prices that are recently updated, but it's somewhere in the range of $1 to $1.50 per day.
$1, $1.50 per day, and I don't have to take it every day just based on intention, but bring the kind of intention that I want into my everyday, and then use this from a ceremonial viewpoint, not just in terms of really kind of recognizing that it's time for me to maybe go a little deeper. It's time for me to go ahead and really aspirationally bring some of my, thoughts or my prayers or my intentions into the world, my aspirations into the world, and that's the way you're looking at it. Am I right?
Yeah. So we defined 5 use cases for Magi. Like 4 of them are available in the website. One is for restful deep sleep. That allows you, part of your sleep is like the REM sleep, or kind of like the deepest sleep is the part that allows you to reinvigorate, and come back the next day with high energy. So one of the use cases is for basically elongating that deep sleep. The second one is for meditation, which is basically one of the areas that we try to put the product with a ritual out. The third use case is lucid dreaming, which again, there are so many people that are journaling their dreams, so this allows them to connect with themselves in that state even deeper. And the last, and the fourth one is around longevity, that is more around like neuroprotection and basically just fighting with neurodegeneration. Which is like kind of any disease, like from Down syndrome, which is like early stage, an early life, or to the later stage, which is like Parkinson, Huntington, Alzheimer's. So it allows that neurodegeneration to slow down. So the 4 products, the ability to go ahead and basically, somewhere around $45, for a product, a monthly subscription. Or you can buy it based on the usage. You can use it every day or use it basically intentionally. And again, where do they buy it? Where do people find out more about the product?
Ancestralmagi.com.
Ancestralmagi.com. Great. And
you can follow us on I think we're on all the socials.
Yeah, on the social, on the same handle, Ancestral Magi, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And they can just buy and say mail order, so they receive it at their address.
Great. Well,
we've got a pretty large knowledge base as well around some of the best practices for meditation that incorporate some of the modern practices that we've learned about. For example, things like heart breath coherence, which has been shown for a way of connecting effectively your emotions with your physiology. When you start adding all these different elements together, and you began speaking about some of the modern techniques of using VR, AR, we have some tech providers that are here. I don't look at any of this in this world here as it's science or religion, or it's only technology enabled, or it's only pharmacologically enabled. Many of these play well together, and you don't always use all four together, but and there is something sacred to having a woman when you're starting to combine all of them together.
Oh, absolutely. Without question, you're able to boost the level and basically be able to transcend your daily struggles and really see the big picture. So that's what really attracted me to both of you and the ability to have this talk. So I really want to thank you very much for the opportunity to chat with you a little bit here at Wonderland, Microdoses Wonderland, and I really look forward to learning more. And I'm gonna write you. I'm gonna be one of your advocates.
Thank you so
that's
much.
okay.
Wonderful. It's an honor, Keith. Thank you for taking the time to spend with us as well here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being a part of the Mindfulness Experience podcast, the Microdose Wonderland interviews. There's more coming up, so stay tuned. Make sure to scroll through all of our podcasts on technology, mindfulness, and psychedelics, and much, much more. Connect with me on social media platforms. Visit my website at workmindfulness.com. This is Keith Fiveson. Thank you again. See you on the next show. Take care.